Hello everyone, this is Crota giving you a shoutcast in a game between Evil Genius's Puma versus Evil Genius's Idra here on Shattered Temple. Idra spawning as the red Zerg player at the 6 or 7 o'clock position. Meanwhile, Evil Genius's Puma spawning as the blue Terran player here at the 9 o'clock position. And even though these two players are teammates, no one's opening up with a good luck, have fun. Pretty interesting. Perhaps they practice against each other so much that they don't really need those formalities. I am expecting a rather clean game from both of these players. No cheesy messes at all, as teammates generally try to play straight up. That's how they practice. And since they play each other so much, it's going to be very interesting to see what these players try to do and how these players open up in their particular matchups and what tech routes they go down towards. Idra will quickly come in with this Overlord and now get a sight of Puma's base. Idra is backing off with the Overlord now. He doesn't want to actually reveal himself. Meanwhile, Puma most likely will be setting up a barracks here in just a moment in order to finish off this Wallen. Now, Puma does have a number of options. He can try to go for a refinery down over here. SCV going to quickly spot this Overlord from Idra. So Idra has revealed himself to Puma at this stage in the game. And we'll see if Idra goes for an early pool or if he goes for an hatchery. It looks like he may be going for a 15 hatch in just a moment. Now making his way down here to the low ground. It will grow up and be a hatchery. And there's not much that can be done. The one barracks is about to be completed. Meanwhile, Puma is not going for gas, but he hasn't set up a second barracks yet either. Idra is gaining or keeping sight of this for a little while longer. It doesn't look like a second barracks will be built. Instead, Puma most likely going to be responding with a fast command center of his own. Spawning pool now coming in from Idra. And we'll see how Idra reacts to Puma's fast command center. Fast command center obviously there in order to try to stay even with the economic production of a Zerg. However, a Zerg player can easily just use this hatchery, even though it is set up at mineral patches, as a macro hatch and try to train up a lot of roaches. So we'll see if Idra goes down that route, whether he tries to go for a lot of roaches or if he's just going to play a little bit more defensively and then be able to and then perhaps try to take an expansion here or here. Both of them are blocked by destructible rocks, so it will be a little bit more difficult, as you do see a command center is currently being built by Puma inside the base, and now one refinery is being placed down, and now there's that second one as Puma wants to make sure he gets more gas. Terran cannot use only Marines. Marines just fall apart to banelings in the early portion of the matchup, as you now see an SCV on patrol here. Idra does have a significant food advantage right now, 26 over 28, and going into 2 queens at a time. So I believe that he's going to be more mineral capped than say larva capped for his droning, and this is going to be very important as those Zerglings are now just running outside in order to try to gain that all-important information and try to see if there are any proxy barracks or perhaps catch a Marine or SCV out of position. Puma still running off of one barracks now. He is getting into that double refinery. He should have enough gas in just a little bit in order to... Oh, there is his factory. So this factory already being built. And we'll see if he goes straight into a starport or if he tries to build up any other production buildings first. You can see back over here, one spine crawler, the standard spine crawler that most Zerg players do go for. And interestingly enough, Puma going for double factory. So a double factory build here on Shattered Temple. And this could either be for a lot of early Hellions, as he didn't want to use a reactor for some reason, perhaps wanting to be able to train up more Marines, or he may be going into Hellion tank. Not quite sure what this double factory opening means as of yet. Zerglings now going to be back over here. It looks like they are going to start to try to take down these destructible rocks. Queens, there are going to be 3 queens in play. As I've said before, queens very important to the Zerg army. And one of the bonuses of a queen is that a queen does not take any larva in order to build. So any unit that doesn't take a larva to build doesn't slow down your macro at all. You can now see 34 drones compared to 25 SCVs. Puma getting completely outclassed in terms of workers, as there is going to be an Overlord positioned off right here. It should be able to, yes, spot the mineral patches and knows when Puma is going to start mining off of these locations. SCVs are being transferred over as 2 Hellions now make their way out, and we are, curiously enough, going into Blue Flame Tech. So Blue Flame Tech, and one of the interesting abilities, it only gives +5 attack right now, so it's not going to be nearly as effective against drones. It will still be able to 2-shot Zerglings, but this was not something I expected to see coming in from Puma at all. But really, with these Hellions, I think he's going more for map control than for drone kills. A Baneling's Nest is now being produced as we are now going into a mass barracks play. Triple racks now coming in. Still no starport, still no reactor though. As Puma now going to transition, I guess, into siege tanks. Hellions now trying to test that front door. It looks like the Spinecrawler is going to separate and now root itself as well. 2 Spinecrawlers on the front door, pretty much going to deny any serious drive-ins, and he doesn't want to try to go up that ramp. He may end up getting stuck on the ramp by those Zerglings. And Puma has invested pretty heavily into these Hellions. These Hellions are not going to be able to maintain or get any sort of damage. He has some map control, but that is about it. As we now see Idra going into a Spire. Now, Spire Tech, obviously a way to wrestle away that map control back from those Hellions. Mutalisk moving very quickly around the map, able to attack those Hellions and also to raid mineral lines as well. You can see that Puma currently does not have an engineering bay, no missile turret, and no armory at all. So with no armory, he's not going to really have any counters to Mutalisk, as the Hellions are just on the front door. He was able to clear out one of those creep tumors, as Overlords are now dropping and spreading creep all across the map. Very interesting strategy. We'll see how this is going to work, as Puma still sees additional creep still being pushed out. Zergling's about to take down these rocks here. It looks like another hatchery should be established in just a moment, as another quick cancellation here, and just constantly trying to deny creep tumors. A Hellion may get some damage onto that one queen, the queen being forced to pull back. The creep tumor, however, taking a lot of damage. It is bleeding, but it is on creep, so it will naturally regenerate some hit points anyways. Back over here, Marines and tanks now destroying these destructible rocks, as we are now sitting at 54 drones compared to 46. A drone now going to be establish up another expansion there, but it is pretty much going to be expanding at the same time. Puma is going to be expanding as well, as you can see this command center now being built up. Both players really not doing any sort of attacking right now. Idra, contrary to what I just said, decided to move out with these Mutalisks, may be able to get some damage onto those Mutalisks. Mutalisks being forced to run all the way home. It looks like one of those Mutalisks may be able, or one of those Hellions may have been taken down, but no, some fancy driving from those Hellions, and those Hellions are able to retreat back into the comfort of the base with some protection from those Marines. Missile turrets are being established now. Very, very strong missile turrets are very strong, able to deal as much damage as 4 Marines. Also, the additional +2 range, very effective. And in order to deal with those Mutalisks, as Mutalisks have a significantly less or lower range, as Idra now just continuing to macro up very freely. And I can't believe that Puma is allowing Idra to just play his game like this. He's been able to just macro up and get in a lot of drones. 62 drones versus 55 SCVs. Idra will be running off of 4 bases in just a moment, as extractors are now coming online, as those Mutalisks are just buying himself a lot of time. Mutalisk now going after a Hellion, not going to be able to catch up with Zergling, now trying to run away. Looks like it will be able to, as the Zergling was able to dance around that one Zelnaga tower, as the Hellions are looking for perhaps a couple easy drone kills. No, gonna go after Zergling's Mutalisks, however, we're not in the back. And I thought that perhaps if Idra had kept his Mutalisks chasing, then the Hellions would have gone down, but no, they did not get taken down. The quick Zergling killed back over there, as the Hellions still sitting at 0-0 upgrades with Blue Flame. Perhaps getting the level 1 weapons upgrade for mech may be worth it, as it would allow those Hellions to still one-shot. A medevac of Puma, completely full, getting shot down there, and that was a hard loss by Puma, as Puma all of a sudden catapulting into 850 losses. I believe it's 600 resources for a medevac, so yeah. Very heavy losses there. Unfortunate bit of micro, as now we can see that the Mutalisks are once again on the move, and looking to deal more damage towards these Marines. Puma also doing a good job playing his own game. We can see some missile turrets are being established as well. Marines are in a very nice defensive position. We perhaps may be able to get a planetary fortress here. There are Marines over here trying to push away some of these units as the Mutalisks are slowly starting to reach that critical mass where it's so difficult to stop them even with the proper counter units. You can see that there are a bunch of Marines over here. Mutalisks now simply going to fly in here, go after that missile turret. Missile turret does get destroyed. Down it goes, but the Marines able to just run in and get a lot more damage, and now some chain damage, getting a lot of damage and just taking a lot of splash damage from those glaive worms as those Mutalisks able to push back in once more, with more damage being dealt. A very odd exchange here by Idra. Perhaps, yes, he did count the Marines and knows that he could last long enough, and now this is going to be a problem as Puma is down one base. Marines trying to make their way back in. Puma losing another supply depot, may lose even more as the Marines are now trying to push their way back in, and it looks like enough Marines have made their way over. One or two Mutalisks may get shot down there. No, it looks like they will all be able to retreat and regather themselves as Idra now sitting at 200 food pretty much, and now perhaps a couple transfusions later, all of these Mutalisks are going to be able to join back with the rest of that army, and now you can see over 24 Mutalisks, 25 Mutalisks in the skies, and dealing 250 damage per one round of attack. Also that glaive worm damage dealing a lot there. You can see how much glaive worm damage there is as the Marines are able to push that back once more. Idra still macroing up very nicely, continuing to put a lot of pressure in. A Thor trying to make its way over. Level 1 weapons upgrade on the vehicles about to be completed. Level 2 weapons upgrade on those Marines as well. As Puma finally establishing enough missile turrets with a Thor in order to fight back. We are going into pathogen glands now as Idra is trying to transition away. And meanwhile, Puma, curiously enough, is going into a Ghost Academy. Ghost Academy, I have seen Ghost used in order to counter Mutalisks, but with the sheer number of Mutalisks, it's going to take a Ghost and lots of them with a lot of micro with those sniper rounds in order to shoot those Mutalisks out of the sky. Marines still on the move. There is still one Thor, a level 2 Thor. Level 2 weapons upgrade definitely needed. But really, Puma doing enough base defense here in order to make sure that no more units are going to try to push their way in any longer. Idra now sitting at 200 food with over 5,000 resources as Idra now looking to get even more gas. Infestors are being added. Hive Tech about to be completed, so we'll see whether he adds Ultralisk or the Greater Spire. Those are the two options for Zerg Tier 3, as the Mutalisks are still hunting for a Marine or another base. Down goes one Marine there. You can see Zerglings are patrolling in between the two bases. One Marine should be able to finish off this poor Zergling by itself, unless the stim does run out. Who will win this battle? And it looks like that Marine does take the victory there. But now in comes a swarm of Mutalisks, a flock of Mutalisks, and there it goes. Puma now running off of 3 bases, should be able to establish up a 4th base in just a moment. Idra still sitting at 4,500 resources, can easily dump in a lot of Marines, and now going into a lot of Banelings. One of the things that is most curious is that most Zerg units are very inexpensive for their food. The only unit that breaks that mold is the Baneling. Baneling costing 50 or 100 minerals and 50 gas per food. So yeah, a very expensive unit, but then again, Banelings only attack once, so I guess it does make sense. We'll see what Idra is going to be able to do. Idra balancing Banelings with Infestors. As long as those Infestors stay alive, the more energy it regenerates, the better it's going to be, as Idra now going mass Spine Crawlers in the center portion of the map. You can see 7 Spine Crawlers are currently being built, and we'll see what's going to happen here as the Zerglings try to rush into this position here. Not going to really work out, and now the Mutalisks were trying to push into this triple missile turret location. That's not going to work out. Even without autosec tracking and the armor on those missile turrets, able to deal a lot of damage. One siege tank out of position with no marine cover. Same thing with another missile or another medevac there. A missile turret will come online, but the Thor able to get some easy damage into the back of those Mutalisks, and those Mutalisks are excuse me, are being forced to retreat. Marines are now upgraded 2-2. We are going into Ghost. Marines now cleaning up these creep tumors, wanting to make sure that there is no real movement speed upgrade, but the Marines are now trying to retreat, not going to be able to retreat back home. There is another creep tumor right over here. This may be able to push back in and make sure there is not a gaping hole in the middle of this creep highway. Oh! Puma with 3 missile turrets, and I believe Idra had a little bit of a misclick there, and now in comes a Thor. The Thor is going to get magic box, but there is a Nydus worm as well, and the Marines are going to try to stim and take it down. It looks like the Nydus worm was destroyed, but a lot of Marines getting caught in and destroyed in transition there still, and now Puma, by able to buy himself some time from the Thor, with the use of that Nydus network, Idra is now able to just destroy these engineering bays. One is already down. The other one is still up and running, but unfortunately for Idra, he did not stop any infantry upgrades at all. The infantry is still upgraded at 2-2. Another command center being built by Puma. It looks like it will be upgraded to a planetary fortress. Where is that Nydus worm? Nydus worm now over here. And this is going to be interesting, as what exactly is Idra planning to do with all of these Nydus networks? He can put a lot of Nydus networks in multiple locations. Zerglings now, going to go underneath it and burrow. Zerglings are now fighting against these ghosts, as those ghosts able to deal a lot of damage back. There is still this one Nydus worm sitting right here. 6 Ultralisk inside a Nydus worm. There is the Nydus network right over there. And now it is going to be a drop in addition to the Nydus network. Very interesting strategy. Something that you don't see every day. And there is that sensor tower. Marines going to be fighting an uphill battle, as they're going to be forced to deal with banelings. No banelings, only Zerglings over here. There's the scanner sweep. There's the stim. And now there's the Ultralisk dropping into position. The stim does stop the Nydus network from going in, but the Zerglings were able to unload because of that, as the Ultralists are starting to chomp their way through all of these supply depots. That splash damage in front of the Ultralists dealing so much damage. Nydus network now coming in as well. It looks like a quick snipe there. Nydus network now trying to come in, but nothing's going to unload, as otherwise Ultralisk coming in from the far side here. So Puma, with Ultralisk on the far side, able to deal more damage once again, and Idra just everywhere at once with this Nydus network, and once again jumping back in there. So Idra currently with 1 Nydus network. I have seen some players try to use 2 in order to unload more units all at once, as the real loading time, or the real issue is the loading time, as this Nydus worm is about to break the soil here and then start unloading more units once again into the base. There are a decent number of Marines, but those Ultralisk, Zerglings, and in comes the Marines. Now Zerglings are trying to unload. Not going to work out. I'm not quite sure what really he was trying to do there, as the Mutalisk doing a quick flyby, not doing that great of a job. Ultralisk now pushing in from the center. In comes some EMP shockwaves, and there is some fungal growth as well. Massive amounts of snipe in order to take down those Ultralisks. Nicely done, as the siege tanks were able to fight that back. And army compositions, Puma now slightly ahead, but once you see the production tab, 12 Ultralisk, 52 Zerglings, Puma's not going to be able to replenish his units nearly as quickly. As you can see, Idra, running off of 7 hatcheries, still has 44 larvae, and he is more food capped than anything else. Zerglings now making their way inside this Nydus network. There is once again going to be a breach there. Zerglings once again trying to surround and finish off these Marines. It looks like they will be able to. Zerglings once again pushing back over here. There is a couple of banelings down, or Zerglings down over here, going to stop the landing, and Puma's still in trouble. Puma now essentially running off of 2 bases against Idra's, I would say 3 at this stage, and still a very large force coming in from Idra. Idra sitting on over 10k worth of units, as they're now going to try to push their way in. Ultralists are now going to be able to chomp their way in. Massive amount snipe coming in order to shut down those Ultralists. Ultralists were getting destroyed, but in comes a nice fungal growth, and Puma losing all of his main units here. Siege tanks not going to be able to really even get off a shot off, as the Ultralisk able to close in that distance, and poor Ghost quickly getting destroyed, not even bothering to cloak. Planetary Fortress still back on that position. Ultralists are upgraded 3-5 at this point. Level, or 5-6 base armor on those Ultralists. Ultralists only taking 2 damage per attack. from a Marine and really needs to get more ghosts in order to get that snipe off, but the snipe is not necessarily the best way to do this, as the Ultralists are starting to chomp away at the destructible rocks over here as well. These rocks will quickly get taken down. 47 damage per attack against armored units, 21 against not. Perhaps all of those missile turrets will get destroyed. You can see that the Ultralists are able to chomp their way in rather easily, rather quickly. Marines trying to stim their way through, unable to do so. And Idra with 7 Ultralists just making his opponent take a beating, and Puma is forced to say GG. A very well macro played game between Evil Geniuses Puma and Evil Geniuses Idra here on Shattered Temple. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening.